vague pronouns. So last time we reviewed what a pronoun was and we talked about pronoun antecedent agreement. So every time we use a pronoun, it must be referring to something or someone, and that's its antecedent. Today we're going to talk about vague pronouns. So what happens when a pronoun doesn't have an antecedent? So here's a little example. They say eating pretzels makes you a genius. Who is they? They doesn't refer to anything. Well, Norm's brother said that he ate a bag before his math test. Who is he? Norm or his brother? Norm. He didn't study and he got an A after eating pretzels. That made him happy. What did? That he didn't study or that he got an A? I had a pretzel stuck in my throat once. It was scary. It doesn't refer back to anything. Get it right. So this little comic is a silly little example of how it can be very confusing when a pronoun doesn't have an antecedent or the antecedent is just very unclear. If we can't tell who or what the pronoun is talking about, then it makes the conversation very confusing, which is why in your writing, this is a very important thing to be aware of. So let's talk about vague pronouns. First of all, what does the word vague mean? So being vague means having unclear or uncertain meaning. So that means that it's very unclear what something means. So every pronouns refer back to a specific noun. That's its antecedent. So an antecedent is the noun that the pronoun refers back to. Therefore, putting these two things together, a vague pronoun is a pronoun that does not have a clear antecedent. So when we're looking for who or what is the pronoun talking about, we can't find it or we're unsure. A vague pronoun is when a pronoun does not have a clear antecedent. So let's look at some instances where that might happen. So first of all, there might be no antecedent at all. So let's look at the following sentence. They say eating pretzels makes you a genius. Well, they is a pronoun. But who is they? We don't know. That's some person or people, some group that we have no idea who or what they're talking about. This pronoun, they, has no antecedent at all. There is nothing in this sentence that tells us who or what they is. And that makes it a vague pronoun. So to fix this error, all you need to do is change the pronoun to a specific noun. So instead of saying they, well, let's say who they are. So instead of saying they, we're going to say a group of doctors has said that eating pretzels makes you a genius. So now we're not using a pronoun at all, but that's okay because we didn't make a vague pronoun error like we did here. Again, the word they has no antecedent. We can't tell who or what they're talking about, and that makes it vague. So we have to fix it by changing the pronoun to a specific noun. That's one good way to fix that error. So there are a couple other ways that we might have a vague pronoun. So another way would be an unclear antecedent. So that means that there is an antecedent in the sentence. It does seem to refer to something, but you can't tell who or what it really is. So for instance, Norman's brother said that he ate pretzels before his math test. Well, who is he? It could be Norman ate pretzels before his math test. But it could also be that Norman's brother ate pretzels before his math test. So we can't tell who he is. So that makes this antecedent unclear. It could be Norman or it could be his brother. We can't tell who he is. So that makes it a vague pronoun. So we can fix this error by replacing the pronoun. So instead of saying he ate pretzels, now we could just say Norman's brother said that Norman ate pretzels before his math test. Or we could say Norman's brother said that Frank, his brother's name, ate pretzels before his math test. We're taking the pronoun completely out of the sentence and we're putting in the noun that it's actually talking about. So now it's clear that in this sentence, Norman's the one who ate the pretzels. So another error that you could have that makes something a vague pronoun is referring to too much. So we're going to look at an example. I had a pretzel stuck in my throat once. It was scary. It is my pronoun. So let's look for its antecedent. So I had a pretzel stuck in my throat once. So is it scary because the pretzel got stuck? Or that it was in his throat once? Or this whole experience was scary? This whole thing, the fact that he got the pretzel stuck in his throat once, it was scary. So this antecedent is a whole sentence. It's really talking about this entire experience, getting the pretzel stuck in his throat. And that makes it a vague pronoun because you can't have a whole sentence be your antecedent. That's too much. You're referring to too many things. So it, the pronoun it, is referring to this entire experience, this whole big sentence, making it vague. So there are two ways that you could fix this error. First of all, you could eliminate the pronoun. Rewrite the sentence so you don't have this issue of this it. So I had a pretzel stuck in my throat once. That experience was scary. So now I don't have a pronoun at all. I just have that experience, and then we know exactly what we're talking about. It's not referring to this entire sentence. You can always rephrase the sentence to fix the vague pronoun. So instead of taking it out, you could just rephrase it. So one scary experience from my childhood was when I had a pretzel caught in my throat. So turning it into one sentence that eliminates this vague pronoun error. So let's look at some examples. So we're going to first look for the pronoun and try to decide what its antecedents could be, because we have vague pronoun issues in all four of these examples. So when Lily saw her friend, she smiled. Okay, we have when Lily saw her friend, her is a pronoun, and she smiled is a pronoun. Her, who is that referring to? What is the antecedent for her? Well, Lily. So that has a clear antecedent. Her and Lily agree in number, they're both singular, and they agree in gender, they're both feminine. So that is an okay pronoun. That one's good. But what about she? So if we look at this she, who is it talking about? She smiled could mean that Lily smiled, but Lily saw her friend, she smiled, could also be Lily's friend, could also be the one smiling. So this one doesn't work. She is a vague pronoun. So we have to rewrite this sentence to fix this error. So instead, we might say, when Lily saw her friend, Lily smiled. Now, we don't have an issue any longer. Lily removed the pronoun completely and fixed our vague pronoun error. So make sure you're copying down the work that we're doing here into your notes. Number 2, on my street, they pick up the garbage on Mondays. Okay, so on my street, my is a pronoun. They pick up the garbage on Mondays. So on my street is talking about the street. It's a possessive pronoun. It's the subject of the sentence. So that one's okay. That one works. But let's look at they pick up the garbage on Mondays. Well, who are they? Does it refer to anything here? No. There's no antecedent. We don't know who they are at all. So we need to fix this issue because this is a vague pronoun. So let's rewrite this sentence so that way we don't have a vague pronoun. On my street, the garbage men pick up the garbage on Mondays. So now I've completely eliminated that pronoun they, so I no longer have a vague pronoun issue. Number 3, when Susan and Ruby finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. She is the only pronoun in this sentence. But what's its antecedent? Who is she? Did Ruby breathe a sigh of relief? Or did Susan breathe a sigh of relief? We don't know, so this is a vague pronoun. So we need to rewrite this sentence to remove this vague pronoun so it makes sense. So we can say, when Susan and Ruby finally landed, Susan breathed a sigh of relief. And again, we've eliminated the issue by taking out the pronoun completely. We could have also rewritten the sentence to make it less vague. So we could say, Susan breathed a sigh of relief when she and Ruby finally landed. So I could have rewritten that whole sentence so it makes more sense. We don't have a vague pronoun. So finally, Billy always keeps his credit card in his wallet, but it went missing last week. There's a couple pronouns here. So we have his, and we have his again, and then we have the pronoun it. So his credit card, well, that's talking about Billy's credit card. Billy is singular, his is singular, and they're both male. So, okay, that pronoun and antecedent agree. His wallet, well, that's again talking about Billy's wallet. So his and Billy, both singular, both male, they agree. But it went missing last week. Okay, what went missing? His wallet or his credit card? We don't know. So that is a vague pronoun. We don't know if the credit card went missing or the wallet went missing. We don't know what it is referring to. So again, we need to rewrite this sentence to eliminate that vague pronoun issue. So Billy always keeps his credit card in his wallet, but the credit card went missing last week. So now we know exactly what went missing, the credit card, and now we don't have that vague pronoun issue. So now it's your turn. So the sentences below contain a vague pronoun reference. Circle the pronoun and draw an arrow to all of its possible antecedents, the way that we just did on the 4 examples prior to this. Then rewrite each sentence to make it clearer. Again, the same way we just did together. So rewrite the sentences to eliminate the vague pronoun issue. Then this practice will be checked for homework credit.